I think the problem is that everyone lies. The people in their 20s lie, and the people in their 30s lie, and the people in their 40s and their 50s, they just can't stop reminiscing about what their 20s used to look like, which just adds an extra layer of pressure to the current 20-year-olds, because people in my age, they just keep thinking, there is absolutely no way on God's green earth that these people are reminiscing about the kind of anxiety that I'm feeling right now. And then comes the advice that for the most part is so well intended, but it is also so unrelatable because yes, so many people struggle with the fact that they haven't yet found their forever person, and especially women, they can't stop thinking about that they might, lose the train of opportunity to love and happiness and joy and family, and most importantly that they might lose the train of choice, because the older you get, the more you tend to compromise because you think that you're running out of time to get things and people your way. And it sounds so stupid to so many people that women just can't decentralize men from their lives. And maybe to an extent it is, but we grow up in societies that they raise us, they tell us every single day that this is the single most important decision in our lives. And everything that we do or everything that we are turns around men for the largest amount of our upbringing. But then we wake up one day and society expects us to suddenly grow out of it. And then comes career and financial stability. And the truth is that young people struggle with both. People struggle to find jobs, and they struggle to buy houses, and they struggle to save up, and they struggle to build wealth. Yet they have done everything right. They went to that uni and they got that internship and they talked to the right people and they did everything just how they were supposed to do it. Yet the result wasn't what they were promised. Instead, the result was just a big hole of questions and uncertainty and anxiety. And instead of governments and institutions and public figures recognizing that and trying to help young people, instead, young people are being gaslit into thinking that they aren't enough, or that they're not doing enough, or that they didn't do the right things, or that they aren't entrepreneurial enough, or that they're lazy, which I'm sure some people are, but not an entire generation. And then you have social media, right? And unfortunately, it doesn't always help, because social media for the most part shows the highlight of people's life, or what people wish their life looked like. And the problem is that it gives this impression that in order to participate in girlhood or have the ideal 20s, it always comes down to having that workout set or that iPhone case or going on vacation to that specific hotel. And it looks like everybody else is living in that reality or is having that life except for ourselves. And yes, this is my unhinged opinion of what the 20s feel right now for most people, for most young women. And yet I think that there is still hope. And I really want to start with loneliness, because I feel like loneliness is one of those things that impacts so many people. And at the same time, it impacts so many decisions about our lives, that be it our relationships, our friendships, and even what jobs we choose to do. And the thing about loneliness is also that we grow up being conditioned to feel loneliness, being conditioned into thinking that loneliness is something bad. For so many people, loneliness means rejection. It means lack of belonging. And it even means that we are missing out on all of life's fun, because if I don't have the people to go for that drink or to go on vacation or even to just have a coffee, then how am I supposed to live? Like, what am I supposed to do? So here's the answer. Being alone doesn't mean you are lonely. Valuing solitude means valuing freedom. Freedom to make your own choices, freedom to exist on your own terms, to focus on yourself. Solitude so many times means a conscious decision to stay out and away of toxic people and low energy environments. Solitude means making yourself the main character and reinforcing your self-concept and self-belief by saying to yourself that you are the answer, that you can heal yourself, that you can offer yourself that quality time you're looking for in other people, and that you alone can validate yourself and your decisions. We are so conditioned into fearing being alone, but to me, this means fearing to love ourselves and saying to ourselves that we need somebody else in order to validate our existence and give us permission to be happy and to be loved and to enjoy being alive. One of my favorite quotes is from Mark Twain, and he basically says that the worst type of loneliness is not being comfortable with ourselves. And so, in my view, curing the anxiety of loneliness is all about what can I do for myself in order to feel better and more joy being alone, rather than what can I do or what can I change about myself in order to make other people like me and want to be around me or want to be with me in order to not feel lonely when I'm alone. And all of that is just to say that there is immense power in making yourself the answer. Friendships and relationships are good, but they can only be great when we are part of them out of choice and not out of necessity. The second thing that causes severe quarter life anxiety, especially for women, is romantic relationships or the absence of. And I don't want to tell you that you don't need a man in order to be happy and feel joy, because in some ways I don't believe that. And what I'm trying to say is that maybe it should be the way. But the reality is that from the moment we are born to the moment we go to school, all the way to when we become adult women, we learn to care about men so much. We learn to center men into our lives in such a degree that I think it's absolutely absurd that one day society just tells us to stop caring about it and to grow out of it, because we shouldn't care. I just don't think that's realistic for most women. But here is what I do think as someone who is currently in a very happy, healthy, wipe you off your feet kind of relationship, but also as someone who in the past has been in the position of someone who was longing for that relationship. My relationship and my partner has given me a sense of happiness, peace, love, safety, and excitement that I have never felt before in my life. And I think it is important to share that, because it is important to share that the right person will make your life easier and better in ways that you have never imagined. But at the same time, it is important to share that I was someone who was a very happy person, living a very full life before finding my partner. And I was living that life in hopes of finding myself, not in hopes of finding him. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can openly admit and openly want to find someone to share your life and reach the sky and feel all those feelings. But until then, you can still be happy and live a life that makes you feel complete in the sense that you know until now. Because if there is a next level of happiness or, feeling complete, which I promise you there is, you don't know that yet, but that doesn't stop you from reaching your full potential of happiness and, just wholesomeness with the life that you lead. And I would go as far as to say that you have to live that kind of life until you find your forever person, because if you don't, then the people you encounter and the people who pass by your life, all they're going to see is a person that doesn't feel like they're enough. All they're going to see is a person that is unhappy. And nobody wants to be with these people, because nobody wants to feel that somebody else's happiness and somebody else's well-being in existence depends on them. That it is up to the partner to make you feel happy and make you feel complete. Because the reality is that it's not. This is not the other person's job. It's just a consequence of them being in your life. And the way you basically build happiness and joy outside of your romantic life is by focusing on the things that offer you joy and growth that are independent of that part of your life, that be it your hobbies or your career or your friends or anything else. Because the reality is that you cannot feel less anxious by thinking about the thing that makes you anxious, but you can feel less anxious by doing more of the things that make you feel more joyful. And I promise you, your sense of self and your sense of happiness doesn't entirely depend on the existence or the absence of a man. And if you are willing to spend enough time to find all those other things that make you who you are and that put a smile on your face and that they offer you an exceptional sense of self, an exceptional sense of joy, then I also promise you that you will also end up becoming a person that is in demand, because who doesn't want to be with a person that is happy? And lastly, we obviously have the anxiety that comes from career and finances and figuring out what else we want to be apart from a daughter or a sister or a mother or a wife. And I heard this quote the other day that said that basically men learn about the world and women learn about themselves. And whilst I do think that both are great, I really think that women need to start learning more about the world. And as someone who has so many questions at the moment and doubts pertaining to that part of my life, I realize that despite all of my degrees and my accomplishments and whatnot, only the past 2 years I have really started learning about the world, as in learning about money and investing and business building and networking and all of the things that actually move the needle forward. And what I can't stop thinking is that despite my 10 million mistakes in the process, the only thing that I regret is not having started earlier, not going after that kind of knowledge earlier. And by started, what I mean essentially is starting questioning everything that I know and everything that we collectively know about career and money making and money multiplying. And if career feels absolutely chaotic for you right now, even if you have done everything right and you just keep wondering if you're ever going to make it or if you get where you have always dreamed of getting, and so on and so forth, I really, really encourage you to take a step back and ask yourself, what else can I do? What else can I do in the sense, what resources that are available to me, limited or not, which of those resources can I use? I honestly encourage you to ask more questions, to question everything and abandon the idea that there is only one way to success, because I promise you, there isn't. The other thing I want to point out is that I encourage you to try. I encourage you to try everything that you think is unattainable for you, but you would love it. Whether that is, that big job that you think is completely out of your league, or starting your own business, or creating content, or whatever that is. And the reason why I encourage you to try, other than the fact that, you might actually make it, but most importantly, is because it is guaranteed that to some extent you will fail. And that is extremely important, because the people who end up succeeding big time are also the people who have failed the most. Because the reality about failure is that it essentially does two things. One is it builds character, because there is nothing more powerful than people who are not afraid to suck, and they're not afraid to suck publicly. And two, what it also does is it gives you one more clue about what you've done wrong, and that is really all you need in order to take a step further. So many of us, we have this tendency of seeing successful people around us, and sometimes we have this almost automatic response of characterizing people as lucky. Oh, look what she has, she's lucky. Oh, look what he has done, he's lucky. But the truth is that the people we call lucky are the people who have failed more times than we have tried. And so what I realized on my personal experiences and on my personal journey is that the answer is to try more. The answer is not to want more, because we cannot control the result, but we can control the output. Asking questions, looking for answers, and being determined to keep failing until you figure it out is the kind of stamina and the kind of motivation that doesn't just beat anxiety, but it also makes you a very devoted, persevering kind of person. And I think that skill is something that not only is going to benefit you and me in our professional lives and in getting the answers that we're looking for when it comes to career, but it also makes exceptional people. Because believe it or not, most people are not willing to keep trying. Most people are not willing to keep failing. Most people are not willing to question the things that they have known for their entire lives. And most people end up making the worst choice, which is no choice. I hope this gives you as much hope as it gives to me, but you have to think about failure and success, that you are going to try so many times that you are going to make it statistically impossible to fail and to not get the life that you've always dreamed of. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, please consider liking, subscribing, and leaving a comment down below. And if you're interested in more self-development videos, then you will find plenty of those in my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video.